Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, where we've reached the 6th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, and Ajamila is going to go back to Godhead by the mercy of the holy name of the Lord. All glories to him and all glories to the Visnudutas. Welcome all of you out there in cyberspace. Okay, let's hear Sanatana Goswami's without further ado. Sanatana Goswami's glorification of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, most beautiful prayers in the world of the Bhagavatam, to the Bhagavatam. They go like this. Sarva Shastra Vipiyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarvalokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwandoditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madhika Bando Matsangin Madguro Mad Mahadana Mad Nisdadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhu tadayin ati nicho chatakada hanamuncha kadachin mam premnarit kantayospuda. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me, always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So yesterday we heard the most beautiful glorification of the holy names of the Lord directly from the mouths of the Visnudutas themselves. And now we're going to hear about Ajamila, what happened. Canto 6, Chapter 2, beginning with text 13. At the time of death, this Ajamila helplessly and very loudly chanted the holy name of the Lord, Narayana. That chanting alone had already freed him from the reactions of all sinful life. Therefore, O servants of Yamaraj, do not try to take him to your master for punishment in hellish conditions. Purport. The Visnudutas, who were superior authorities, gave orders to the Yamadutas, who did not know that Ajamila was no longer subject to tribulation in hellish life for his past sins. Although he had chanted the holy name Narayana to indicate his son, the holy name is so transcendently powerful that he was automatically freed because he had chanted the holy name while dying. Ante Narayana Smritihi. As Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita 7:28, Yesham Twantagatam Papam Jananam Punyakarmanam Te Dvandvo Mohanir Mukta Bhajante Mam Dridavrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Unless one is freed from all sinful reactions, one cannot be promoted to the platform of devotional service. Elsewhere, in Bhagavad Gita 8.5, it is stated, Ante kale chamam eva smaran muktva kalevaram yak prayati samadbhavam yati nasyatra samshayah. If one remembers Krishna, Narayana, at the time of death, one is certainly eligible to return immediately home, back to Godhead. Text 14. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all the learned scholars of the scriptures. Text 15. If one chants the holy name of Hari and then dies because of an accidental misfortune, such as falling from the top of a house, slipping and suffering broken bones while traveling on the road, being bitten by a serpent, being afflicted with pain and high fever, or being injured by a weapon, one is immediately absolved from having to enter hellish life, even though he is sinful. Purport. It's a win-win. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam jajajanti kalevaram tam tam evaiti konteya sadatad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. If one practices chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, he is naturally expected to chant Hare Krishna when he meets with some accident. Even without such practice, however, if one somehow or other chants the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, when he meets with an accident and dies, he will be saved from hellish life after death. Text 16. Authorities who are learned scholars and sages have carefully ascertained that one should atone for the heaviest sins by undergoing a heavy process of atonement, and one should atone for lighter sins by undergoing lighter atonement. Chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, however, vanquishes all the effects of sinful activities, regardless of whether heavy or light. Purport. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur describes an incident that took place when Samba was rescued from the punishment of the Kauravas. Samba fell in love with the daughter of Duryodhana, and since according to Kshatriya custom, one is not offered to a Kshatriya's daughter unless he displays his chivalrous valor, Samba abducted her. Consequently, Samba was arrested by the Kauravas. Later, when Lord Balaram came to rescue him, there was an argument about Samba's release. Since the argument was not settled, Balaram showed his power in such a way that all of Hastinapur trembled and would have been vanquished as if by a great earthquake. Then the matter was settled, and Samba married Duryodhana's daughter. The purport is that one should take shelter of Krishna Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose protective power is so great that it cannot be equaled in the material world. However powerful the reactions of one's sins, they will immediately be vanquished if one chants the name of Hari, Krishna, Balaram, or Narayana. Text 17. Although one may neutralize the reactions of sinful life through austerity, charity, vows, and other such methods, these pious activities cannot uproot the material desires in one's heart. However, if one serves the lotus feet of the Personality of Godhead, he is immediately freed from all such contaminations. Purport. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 11.2.42, Bhakti Parishanubhavo Viraktir Anyatra Cha. Devotional service is so powerful that one who performs devotional service is immediately freed from all sinful desires. All desires within this material world are sinful because material desire means sense gratification, which always involves action that is more or less sinful. Pure bhakti, however, is anyabilashita shunya. In other words, it is free from material desires, which result from karma and jnana. One who is situated in devotional service no longer has material desires, and therefore he is beyond sinful life. Material desires should be completely stopped. Otherwise, although one's austerities, penances, and charity may free one from sin for the time being, one's desires will reappear because his heart is impure. Thus, he will act sinfully and suffer. Text 18. As a fire burns dry grass to ashes, so the holy name of the Lord, whether chanted knowingly or unknowingly, burns to ashes without fail all the reactions to one's sinful activities. Purport. Fire will act regardless of whether handled by an innocent child or by someone well aware of its power. For example, if a field of straw or dry grass is set afire, either by an elderly man who knows the power of fire, or by a child who does not, the grass will be burned to ashes. Similarly, one may or may not know the power of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, but if one chants the holy name, he will become free from all sinful reactions. Text 19. Well, Hare Krishna, you brave the weather? If a person unaware of the effective potency of a certain medicine takes that medicine or is forced to take it, it will act even without his knowledge, because its potency does not depend on the patient's understanding. Similarly, even though one does not know the value of chanting the holy name of the Lord, if one chants knowingly or unknowingly, the chanting will be very effective. Purport. In the Western countries, lightning bolts flashing through the window. When I said in the Western countries, just to make the point, here we are. Where the Hare Krishna movement is spreading, learned scholars and other thoughtful men are realizing its effectiveness. For example, Dr. J. Stilson Judah, a learned scholar, has been very much attracted to this movement because he has actually seen that it is turning hippies addicted to drugs into pure Vaishnavas who voluntarily become servants of Krishna and humanity. Even a few years ago, such hippies did not know the Hare Krishna mantra, but now they are chanting it and becoming pure. This is practical proof of the effectiveness of the Hare Krishna movement, which is supported in this verse. One may or may not know the value of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, but if one somehow or other chants it, he will immediately be purified, just as one who takes a potent medicine will feel its effects, regardless of whether he takes it knowingly or unknowingly. Text 20. Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, My dear king, having thus perfectly judged the principles of devotional service with reasoning and arguments, the order carriers of Lord Vishnu released the Brahmana Ajamila from the bondage of the Yamadutas and saved him from imminent death. 21. My dear Maharaj Parikshit, O subduer of all enemies, after the servants of Yamaraj had been answered by the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, they went to Yamaraj and explained to him everything that had happened. Purport. In this verse, the word pratyudita is very significant. The servants of Yamaraj are so powerful that they can never be hindered anywhere. But this time they were baffled and disappointed in their attempt to take away a man they considered sinful. Therefore, they immediately returned to Yamaraj and described to him everything that had happened. Text 22. Having been released from the nooses of Yamaraj's servants, the Brahmana Ajamil, now free from fear, came to his senses and immediately offered obeisances to the Visnudutas by bowing his head at their lotus feet. He was extremely pleased by their presence, for he had seen them save his life from the hands of the servants of Yamaraj. Purport. Vaishnavas are also Visnudutas because they carry out the orders of Krishna. Lord Krishna is very eager for all the conditioned souls rotting in this material world to surrender to him and be saved from material pangs in this life and punishment in hellish conditions after death. A Vaishnava therefore tries to bring conditioned souls to their senses. Those who are fortunate, like Ajamil, are saved by the Visnudutas or Vaishnavas, and thus they return back home, back to Godhead. Text 23. O sinless Maharaj Parikshit, the order carriers of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Visnudutas, saw that Ajamil was attempting to say something, and thus they suddenly disappeared from his presence. Purport. The Shastras say, Papishta ye durachara deva brahmana nindakam apatya bhojanas tesham akale maranam drubam. For persons who are papishta, very sinful, and durachara, misbehaved, or very unclean in their habits, who are against the existence of God, who disrespect Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, and who eat anything and everything, untimely death is sure. It is said that in Kali Yuga, one has a maximum lifetime of 100 years, but as people become degraded, the duration of their lives decreases. Prayinal, Payusha. Because Ajamil was now free from all sinful reactions, his lifetime was extended, even though he was to have died immediately. When the Visnudutas saw Ajamil trying to say something to them, they disappeared to give him a chance to glorify the Supreme Lord. Since all his sinful reactions had been vanquished, he was now prepared to glorify the Lord. Indeed, one cannot glorify the Lord unless one is completely free from all sinful activities. This is confirmed by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita 7:28. Yesham twantagatam papam jananam punja karmanam te dvanva mohanir mukta bhajante mam dridavrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. The Visnudutas made Ajamil aware of devotional service so that he might immediately become fit to return home, back to Godhead. To increase his eagerness to glorify the Lord, they disappeared so that he would feel separation in their absence. In the mode of separation, glorification of the Lord is very intense. Text 24 and 25. After hearing the discourses between the Yamadutas and the Visnudutas, Ajamil could understand the religious principles that act under the three modes of material nature. These principles are mentioned in the three Vedas. He could understand the transcendental religious principles which are above the modes of material nature and which concern the relationship between the living being and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Furthermore, Ajamil heard glorification of the name, fame, qualities, and pastimes of the Personality of Godhead. He thus became a perfectly pure devotee. He could then remember his past sinful activities, which he greatly regretted having performed. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 2:45, Lord Krishna told Arjuna Trigunya Vishaya Beda Nishtrigunya Bavarjana Nirdvandvo Nityasat Vasto Niryoga Chema Atmavan. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. The Vedic principles certainly prescribe a gradual process for rising to the spiritual platform. But if one remains attached to the Vedic principles, there is no chance of his being elevated to spiritual life. Krishna therefore advised Arjuna to perform devotional service, which is the process of transcendental religion. The transcendental position of devotional service is also confirmed in Srimad-Bhagavatam 126. Savai pungsang paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhoksaje. Bhakti, devotional service, is paro dharma, transcendental dharma. It is not material dharma. People generally think that religion should be pursued for material profit. This may be suitable for a person interested in material life, but one who is interested in spiritual life should be attached to parodharma, the religious principles by which one becomes a devotee of the Supreme Lord. Yato bhaktir adhokshaje. The Bhagavata religion teaches that the Lord, yato bhaktir adhokshaje, did I do something wrong there? The Bhagavat religion teaches that the Lord and the living entity are eternally related, and that the duty of the living entity is to surrender to the Lord. When one is situated on the platform of devotional service, one is freed from impediments and completely satisfied. Ahaituki apratiyata yayatma suprasidati. Having been elevated to that platform, Ajamila began to lament for his past materialistic activities and glorify the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 26. Ajamila said, "Alas, being a servant of my senses, how degraded I became. I fell down from my position as a duly qualified Brahmana and begot children in the womb of a prostitute." Purport. The men of the higher classes, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, do not beget children in the wombs of lower class women. Therefore the custom in Vedic society is to examine the horoscopes of a girl and boy being considered for marriage to see whether their combination is suitable. Vedic astrology reveals whether one has been born in the Vipra Varna, Kshatriya Varna, Vaishya Varna, or Shudra Varna, according to the three qualities of material nature. This must be examined because a marriage between a boy of a Vipra Varna and a girl of the Shudra Varna is incompatible. Married life would be miserable for both husband and wife. Consequently, a boy should marry a girl of the same category. Of course, this is trigunya, a material calculation according to the Vedas. But if the boy and girl are devotees, there need be no such considerations. A devotee is transcendental, and therefore in a marriage between devotees, the boy and girl form a very happy combination. Text 27. Alas, all condemnation upon me! I acted so sinfully that I degraded my family tradition. Indeed, I gave up my chaste and beautiful young wife to have sexual intercourse with a fallen prostitute accustomed to drinking wine. All condemnation upon me. Purport. Little musical effects. Krishna is controlling everything. Purport. This is the mentality of one who is becoming a pure devotee. When one is elevated to the platform of devotional service by the grace of the Lord and the spiritual master, one first regrets his past sinful activities. This helps one advance in spiritual life. The Visnudutas had given Ajamila the chance to become a pure devotee. And the duty of a pure devotee is to regret his past sinful activities in illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. Not only should one give up his past bad habits, but he must always regret his past sinful acts. This is the standard of pure devotion. Text 28. My father and mother were old and had no other son or friend to look after them, but I did not take care of them. They lived with great difficulty. Alas, like an abominable lower class man, I ungratefully left them in that condition. Purport. According to Vedic civilization, everyone has the responsibility for taking care of brahmanas, old men, women, children, and cows. This is the duty of everyone, especially an upper class person. Because of his association with a prostitute, Ajamila abandoned all his duties. Regretting this, Ajamila now considered himself quite fallen. Text 29. It is now clear that as a consequence of such activities, a sinful person like me must be thrown into hellish conditions meant for those who have broken religious principles and must there suffer extreme miseries. Text 30. Was this a dream I saw, or was it reality? I saw fearsome men with ropes in their hands coming to arrest me and drag me away. Where have they gone? 31. And where have those 4 liberated and very beautiful persons gone who released me from arrest and saved me from being dragged down to the hellish regions? Purport. As we have learned from the descriptions of the 5th canto, the hellish planets are situated in the lower portions of the universe. Therefore they are called Ado Bhuva. Ajamila could understand that the Yamadutas had come from that region. Text 32. I am certainly most abominable and unfortunate to have merged in an ocean of sinful activities, but nevertheless, because of my previous spiritual activities, I could see those 4 exalted personalities who came to rescue me. Now I feel exceedingly happy because of their visit. Purport. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22:54, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Association with devotees is recommended by all the Shastras because by even a moment of such association, one can receive the seed for all perfection. In the beginning of his life, Ajamila was certainly very pure, and he associated with devotees and brahmanas. Because of that pious activity, even though he was fallen, he was inspired to name his son Narayana. Certainly this was due to good counsel given from within by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sanavisto matak smritir jnanam aponam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart, is so kind that if one has ever rendered service to Him, the Lord never forgets him. Hare Krishna. I'm going to read that again. It's so nice. The Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart, is so kind that if one has ever rendered service to Him, the Lord never forgets him. Thus the Lord from within gave Ajamila the opportunity to name his youngest son Narayana, so that in affection he would constantly call Narayana, Narayana, and thus be saved from the most fearful and dangerous condition at the time of his death. Such is the mercy of Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhoi Bhakti Lata Bij. By the mercy of the Guru and Krishna, one receives the seed of bhakti. This association saves a devotee from the greatest fear. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore change a devotee's name to a form that reminds him of Vishnu. At the time of death, the devotee can remember his own name. Excuse me. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore change a devotee's name to a form that reminds him of Vishnu. If at the time of death the devotee can remember his own name, such as Krishna Das or Govinda Das, he can be saved from the greatest danger. Therefore, the change of names at the time of initiation is essential. The Krishna consciousness movement is so meticulous that it gives one a good opportunity to remember Krishna somehow or other. Text 33. Were it not for my past devotional service, how could I, a most unclean keeper of a prostitute, have gotten an opportunity to chant the holy name of Vaikuntapati when I was just ready to die? Certainly, it could not have been possible. Purport. The name Vaikuntapati, which means the master of the spiritual world, is not different from the name Vaikuntha. Ajamila, who was now a realized soul, could understand that because of his past spiritual activities and devotional service, he had gotten this opportunity to chant the holy name of Vaikuntapati in his horrible condition at the time of death. Text 34. Ajamila continued, I am a shameless cheater who has killed his Brahminical culture. Indeed, I am sin personified. Where am I in comparison to the all-auspicious chanting of the holy name of Lord Narayana? Purport. Those engaged in broadcasting the holy name of Narayana, Krishna, through the Krishna consciousness movement should always consider what our position was before we came and what it is now. We had fallen into abominable lives as meat-eaters, drunkards, and woman hunters who performed all kinds of sinful activities. But now we have been given the opportunity to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, we should always appreciate this opportunity. By the grace of the Lord, we are opening many branches, and we should use this good fortune to chant the holy name of the Lord and serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. We must be conscious of the difference between our present and past conditions, and we should always be very careful not to fall from the most exalted life. Text 35. I am such a sinful person, but since I have now gotten this opportunity, I must completely control my mind, life, and senses, and always engage in devotional service, so that I may not fall again into the deep darkness and ignorance of material life. Purport. Every one of us should have this determination. We have been elevated to an exalted position by the mercy of Krishna and the spiritual master. And if we remember that this is a great opportunity and pray to Krishna that we will not fall again, our lives will be successful. Text 36, 37. Because of identifying oneself with the body, one is subjected to desires for sense gratification, and thus one engages in many different types of pious and impious action. This is what constitutes material bondage. Now I shall disentangle myself from my material bondage, which has been caused by the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusory energy in the form of a woman. Being a most fallen soul, I was victimized by the illusory energy and have become like a dancing dog led around by a woman's hand. Now I shall give up all lusty desires and free myself from this illusion. I shall become a merciful, well-wishing friend to all living entities and always absorb myself in Krishna consciousness. Haribo. Purport. This should be the standard of determination for all Krishna conscious persons. A Krishna conscious person should free himself from the clutches of Maya, and he should also be compassionate to all others suffering in those clutches. The activities of the Krishna consciousness movement are met not only for oneself, but for others also. This is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. One who is interested in his own salvation is not as advanced in Krishna consciousness as one who feels compassion for others, and who therefore propagates the Krishna consciousness movement. Such an advanced devotee will never fall down, for Krishna will give him special protection. That is the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. Everyone is like a play toy in the hands of the illusory energy, and is acting as she moves him. One should come to Krishna consciousness to release oneself and also to release others. Text 38. Simply because I chanted the holy name of the Lord in the association of devotees, my heart is now becoming purified. Therefore I shall not fall victim again to the false lures of material sense gratification. Now that I have become fixed in the absolute truth, henceforward I shall not identify myself with the body. I shall give up false conceptions of I and mine and fix my mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Purport. How a living entity becomes a victim of the material condition is lucidly explained in this verse. The beginning is to misidentify the body as oneself. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita begins with the spiritual instruction that one is not the body, but is within the body. This consciousness can be possible only if one chants the holy name of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and always keeps oneself in the association of devotees. This is the secret of success. Therefore we stress that we should chant the holy name of the Lord and keep oneself free from the contaminations of the material world, this material world, especially the contaminations for lusty desires for illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. With determination, one should vow to follow these principles and thus be saved from the miserable condition of material existence. The first necessity is to become freed from the bodily concept of life. Text 39. Because of a moment's association with devotees, the Visnudutas, Ajamila detached himself from the material conception of life with determination. Thus freed from all material attraction, he immediately started for Hardwar. Purport. The word Mukta Sarvanubandhana indicates that after this incident, Ajamila, not caring for his wife and children, went straight to Hardwar for further advancement in his spiritual life. Our Krishna consciousness movement now has centers in Vrindavan and Navadvip, so that those who want to live a retired life, whether they be devotees or not, can go there and with determination give up the bodily concept of life. One is welcome to live in those holy places for the rest of his life in order to achieve the highest success by the very simple method of chanting the holy name of the Lord and taking prasad. Thus one may return home, back to Godhead. We do not have a center in Hardwar, but Vrindavan and Sridham Mayapur are better for devotees than any other places. The Chaitanya Chandrodaya temple offers one a good opportunity to associate with devotees. Let us all take advantage of this opportunity. Text 40. And of course, Prabhupada many times said, when he was visiting his temples where the deities are installed, that this is not different from Vrindavan and Mayapur. In Hardwar, Ajamila took shelter at a Vishnu temple where he executed the process of bhakti yoga. He controlled his senses and fully applied his mind in the service of the Lord. Purport. The devotees who have joined the Krishna consciousness movement may live comfortably in our many temples and engage in the devotional service of the Lord. They can control the mind and senses and achieve the highest success in life. This is the process, descending from time immemorial. Learning from the life of Ajamila, one should vow with determination to do what is necessary to follow this path. Text 41. Ajamila fully engaged in devotional service. Thus, he detached his mind from the process of sense gratification and became fully absorbed in thinking of the form of the Lord. Purport. If one worships the deity in the temple, one's mind will naturally be absorbed in thought of the Lord and his form. There is no distinction between the form of the Lord and the Lord himself. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga is the most easy system of yoga. Yogis try to concentrate their minds upon the form of the Supersoul, Vishnu, within the heart. But this same objective is easily achieved when one's mind is absorbed in the deity worshipped in the temple. In every temple there is a transcendental form of the Lord, and one may easily think of this form by seeing the Lord during arati, by offering bhoga, and by constantly thinking of the form of the deity. One becomes a first-class yogi. This is the best process of yoga, as confirmed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhagavad Gita 7:47. Yoginam apisarvesham madgatenan taratmana shradhavan bhajate yomam samme yukta mataha. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The first-class yogi is he who controls his senses and detaches himself from material activities by always thinking of the form of the Lord. Text 42. When his intelligence and mind were fixed upon the form of the Lord, the Brahmana Ajamila once again saw before him the four celestial persons. He could understand that they were those he had seen previously, and thus he offered them his obeisances by bowing down before them. Purport. The Visnudutas who had rescued Ajamila had come before him again when his mind was firmly fixed upon the form of the Lord. The Visnudutas had gone away for some time to give Ajamila a chance to become firmly fixed in meditation upon the Lord. Now that his devotion had matured, they returned to take him. Understanding that the same Visnudutas had returned, Ajamila offered them his obeisances by bowing down before them. Text 43. Upon seeing the Visnudutas, Ajamila gave up his material body at Hardwar, on the bank of the Ganges. He regained his original spiritual body, which was a body appropriate for an associate of the Lord. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Janma karma jame divyam evam yo veti tatpataha chaktva deham punar janma naitimam iti sorjana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. The result of perfection in Krishna consciousness is that after giving up one's material body, one is immediately transferred to the spiritual world in one's original spiritual body to become an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some devotees go to Vaikuntha Loka and others go to Goloka Vrindavan to become associates of Krishna. Text 44. Accompanied by the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, Ajamila boarded an airplane made of gold. Passing through the airways, he went directly to the abode of Lord Vishnu, the husband of the goddess of fortune. Purport. For many years, material scientists have tried to go to the moon, but they are still unable to go there. However, the spiritual airplanes from the spiritual planets can take one back home, back to Godhead, in a second. The speed of such a spiritual airplane can only be imagined. Spirit is finer than mind, and everyone has experienced how swiftly the mind travels from one place to another. Therefore, one can imagine the swiftness of the spiritual form by comparing it to the speed of the mind. In less than even a moment, a perfect yogi, devotee, can return home, back to Godhead, immediately after giving up his material body. Text 45. Well, no hanging around. Ajamila was a Brahmana who, because of bad association, had given up all Brahminical culture and religious principles. Becoming most fallen, he stole, drank, and performed other abominable acts. He even kept a prostitute. Thus he was destined to be carried away to hell by the order carriers of Yamaraj. But he was immediately rescued simply by a glimpse of the chanting of the holy name, Narayana. Text 46. Therefore, one who desires freedom from material bondage should adopt the process of chanting and glorifying the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at whose feet all the holy places stand. One cannot derive the proper benefit from other methods, such as pious atonement, speculative knowledge, and meditation in mystic yoga, because even after following such methods, one takes to fruitive activities again, unable to control his mind, which is contaminated by the base qualities of nature, namely passion and ignorance. Purport. It has actually been seen that even after achieving so-called perfection, many karmis, jnanis, and yogis become attached to material activities again. Many so-called swamis and yogis give up material activities as false, jagan mithya. But after some time, they nevertheless resume material activities by opening hospitals and schools or performing other activities for the benefit of the public. Sometimes they participate in politics, although still falsely declaring themselves sannyasis, members of the renounced order. The perfect conclusion, however, is that if one actually desires to get out of the material world, he must take to devotional service, which begins with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. The Krishna consciousness movement has actually proved this. In the Western countries, many young boys who were addicted to drugs and who had many other bad habits, which they could not give up, abandoned all those propensities and very seriously engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord as soon as they joined the Krishna consciousness movement. In other words, this process is the perfect method of atonement for actions performed in raja and tama, passion and ignorance. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.2.19, Tada rajastamo bhava kama loba dayas chaye cheta etar anavidam stitam sattve prasidati. As a result of raja and tama, one becomes increasingly lusty and greedy. But when one takes to the process of chanting and hearing, one comes to the platform of goodness and becomes happy. Happy. Prabhupada said he wants to make the hippies happies. As he advances in devotional service, all his doubts are completely eradicated. Vidyate hridaya grantish chidyante sarvasangshaya. Thus the knot of his desire for fruitive activities is cut to pieces. We'll stop there. Hare Krishna. All glories to the holy name of the Lord. And Marcus has got his hand stuck in the air as far as it'll go, and he's got a big, long arm.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Bhakti Marcus.
Thank you for the reading, as always. Okay, so I was wondering if you could please further explain untimely death. What classified... Questions, 2 parts. I was wondering if you could please explain untimely death. What classifies as untimely death? And because it's my understanding that everything that happens is a karmic reaction. So how could it be karmic and predestined if it's untimely? And the second part of the question is, say, what's the difference between accidentally, like killing an ant or something when you're just walking about your day, and purposefully doing it? Or are both of those types of killing still untimely?
They're both untimely for the ants. You see, free will and predestination are happening at the same time. It seems counterintuitive, but it's true. Each one of us, no matter what species of life we're in, we have a predestined number of breaths to take. So in one sense, there's really no such thing as an untimely death, because when those breaths run out, you go, no matter what you think, no matter how old you are, no matter how healthy you are, no matter what. But on the other hand, if a living entity prevents another living entity from living out a natural life and dying as a result of old age or natural causes, then he becomes implicated in a more sinful reaction. So sometimes these instructions depend on the angle of vision, who you're talking about. From the point of view of the person leaving the body, it may be considered timely or not by his karma. But from the point of view of the person who is actually stopping a living entity, preventing him to go to the next stage of evolution, because before you're a human being, you just go. If you're allowed to live out your natural life, then you go out automatically to the next stage of evolution. And if you're killed untimely before you can live out the natural life, then you'll have to come back to the same species again. And that prolongs your life in the material world.
Okay, so like walking outside and accidentally killing ants, are we just hindering these ants from progressing?
Yes,
but
no. it's not as serious. From your point of view, it's not as serious because it's not being done intentionally. But still, there is reaction, and therefore you should chant Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what the whole system of Vedic culture and the system of sacrifices, different kinds of sacrifices. There's many kinds of sacrifices. There are huge sacrifices that are done by all the people of the world under the guidance of a emperor or samaraj. Like when Maharaj Yudhishthira performed the Rajasuya sacrifice, all the people of the earth practically, many of them came and participated and got the benefit. But even in your normal household life, for example, there are certain sacrifices that you do. Little home, in your own home, you light the fire, you do some mantras, and do things for sacrifice. So the whole Vedic culture is meant for purifying. But the point that's being made by this pastime is that by taking to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, which Lord Chaitanya came and gave us as the Yuga Dharma, the method of sacrifice for this age, you bypass all those other kinds of sacrifice, and you take an elevator right to the top. You chant the holy name of the Lord, and you get the full benefit of the Lord's personal association, and you awaken your love for Him, and He becomes attached to you, and then you go back to Godhead. It's easy and it's simple, and it's meant to be, because in this age it's very difficult. Look at how we struggle even though we're, properly situated. But as soon as we sit down like this, no matter what we think, and we hear like this sincerely, it's magic. Everyone can experience it. You don't have to get a certificate, diploma, reference. Yes, Sarva.
Seems that Ajamila was dying, and then he got kind of an extension to go to Hardwar. So with devotional service and the Lord's mercy, is there sometimes some change in the ironclad amount of breaths one has to breathe? Or
Well, that's one way to look at it, or the other way to look at it is he extended it so that he could actually get his number of breaths, depending on how you look at it. It's not mechanical like that, These are just general laws to give us a kind of, an idea of what's going on here. But they're all just like I heard Gopi Pranadana Prabhu the other day. He said that the Vedas are like a script, and the universe is unfolding according to that script. Like every time the universe is created, there's Brahma, and there's certain planetary systems, and there's 7 sages, and there's the general structure is the same every time it's created, and even the same positions are there, and different personalities take those positions, and they do certain things that are according to the script. Just like, Shakespeare made these far-out dramas, and he wrote all these far-out scripts, and you can go and watch some drama team or drama group perform some Shakespeare, and sometimes there's a brilliant rendition of it, and sometimes it's it's not so brilliant. So, and sometimes somebody trying to remember the script may forget a word or something, and then has to say something ad lib, So like that, the universe is going on according to a script, but it's still, there's room, there's wiggle room, Is that from the lightning? I think that's the alarm. That's the fire alarm. Yes, we have something from our. Sarv? Is that okay? That answer was okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next.
This is from Jai Shri.
Jai Shri, Haribo.
This is a realization. Reading Srila Prabhupada's book straight through always gives us so much hope when we face the final test of death, which is so difficult to pass. Like Ajamila who has done so much sinful acts, Krishna is so kind to him only because he chanted the holy name at the time of death. The method outlined by Srila Prabhupada is so straightforward and simple: hearing, chanting, and sadhu sangha. Thanks, Srila Prabhupada, for giving us this transcendental knowledge in such a simple way. Your servant, Jai Shri.
Haribo. Jai Shri. She's coming later on for a couple of weeks, I think. Yes.
As we were reading today, I don't have any questions. I was just...
Unbelievable. That must have been a pretty potent reading if you didn't have any questions.
Oh yeah,
You liked it too much.
Today,
Was that the fire alarm?
Home alarm.
Home alarm. I see. Somebody tried to break in or something?
I don't know, maybe it's a thunder and everything.
Maybe.
your
Every once in a while it comes on. I get up in the morning and sometimes it's on. I think it's the way they go in and out of the building or something. Or I don't know. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
I was just feeling really thankful for a few things that I heard. One, I was really feeling thankful for the human form of life because we can do devotional service. That's so nice to be able to use everything that we have and dedicate it to Krishna, because then you don't feel so far. And another thing I was thankful for was today I was listening to a class by Vaisheshika Prabhu. Oh gosh, getting emotional. I was listening to a class by Vaisheshika Prabhu, and he was saying that there's people that are just waiting for a devotee to come and give them relief and knowledge. And as we were reading, especially about the hippies, we read that the Krishna consciousness movement has actually proved this. In the Western countries, many young boys who were addicted to drugs and had so many other bad habits which they could not give up, abandoned all those propensities and very seriously engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord as soon as they joined the Krishna consciousness movement. When one takes to the process of chanting and hearing, one comes to the platform of goodness and becomes happy. As he advances in devotional service, all his doubts are completely eradicated. As we were reading, I was thinking about, I don't know, it was almost like we were reading and I went back to the moment where I was in school and really just depressed and like wondering.
Bewildered.
Oh man, it was horrible. And
That was what Prabhupada said. Was it this reading or was it yesterday? He said we should think of the way we were before. I think it was in this reading, earlier in the reading, in front of this one. You should think about that. If you ever get, depressed or, bewildered or whatever, just remember the way it was. Take your mind back. Remember how it was. I mean, it's been so long ago now. It's just kind of like a vague, it's like in the fog. It's not even there when I try to remember that, But, sometimes something comes into mind and it's just so glaringly obvious. And that gratitude can come into your heart, and then that sense of gratitude, and that, as Prabhupada said in this reading, the sense of regret when Ajamila is regretting, what he did wrong, and that sense of regret purifies the mind and purifies the heart, and surcharges our mind to want to do the right thing.
I'm just thankful.
Yes, gratitude. That's what gratitude means. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I have to get up real early tomorrow morning and do a reading. And Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much for your hearts and your ears, for being there for us. Thank you all of you out there in cyberspace for being there for us. And let us continue to do this. What you can is just turn it off. There you go. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Visnudutas ki jai. Ajamila ki jai. Lord Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow, same time, same place, same station. Hare Krishna. Thank you.